Greetings. I'm going to talk a little bit on the idea of perfection, especially when it comes to art. So, according to wonderful Googly Google, perfection is the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. Now, that sounds like something that would be perfect for manufacturing. For certain. One should be free as many flaws as possible when you're manufacturing something. I have a ancient antique film camera, a Nikon FM2, and it was 2 summers ago. I was monkeying around with a lens, taking pictures in the backyard, and for a reason that's typical for me, I set it down and forgot about it. And it was a big, mean, nasty downpour the following night. And I wake up the next morning and I'm doing my business and I realize, oh, I left a camera outside. So I go out and indeed the camera was soaked. It just drained out of water from the base plate. So I took my little screwdriver and I removed the 3 little screws on the base plate and I drained it out and let it dry. And with no other idea on what to do, I kind of put a little surfactant bag and the parts of the camera inside a little plastic Ziploc bag and forgot about it. And so today, while I was monkeying around with some other bunch of old camera parts, I came across my Nikon FM2, completely forgotten. So I figured, well, see what happens. And so I grabbed my little microscopic, well, not microscopic, obviously not microscopic, but my little screwdriver, and I put the base plate back in, and I robbed my broken F3 film camera of its battery carriage. And voila, after spending approximately 2 years in a plastic bag, forgotten after being left in a downpour, soaking wet, worked fine. The meter worked fine. Shutter worked fine. Well, it's a mechanical camera, so rust notwithstanding, it should work fine. And it did. It does. Currently, I have it sitting on the table next to me with a 28 to 45 AI zoom lens. Not the best zoom lens, but hey, it works. And this is a reflection on manufacturing perfection, because in the decades that the FM series camera was in production, it was a pinnacle of manufacturing perfection. For certain, there are cameras that have better ergonomics, better fit and finish, but for the purpose of being a camera, what better perfection than a mass-manufactured Nikon FM2? But a camera is only a tool. It's not a piece of art. It creates a piece of art. It creates an image. Well, it is a tool that facilitates the creation of an image. You don't have ranging hordes of cameras rampaging through the countryside taking pictures. They are tools that require the hand of a human being to operate. And in their perfection, in the manufacturing process, it is necessary to be as free of flaws as possible. And there's a quote from Salvador Dali's 50 Secrets of Magic Craftsmanship, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he says, artists don't worry about perfection, you'll never attain it. And in regard to art, why would any artist want to attain perfection? If we're working on this current definition of perfection, what if perfection was being one of a kind? That in all of the universe, that item, that object, is perfect. Say a broken down old car. What kind of story does that car tell? The dents and the dings and the rust. What does that suggest? What life did that car have? It's one of a kind. Only it can have the story that it has. One can assume that a runway model, as bare of imperfections, might be, in the conventional sense, perfect. What if an oil rig roughneck who's got scars, injuries, years of work, has got a story to tell? All those injuries have a story to tell. Family history, work history, the travels that person has taken to do the work they do. So perhaps when we're thinking on perfection in art, we should be thinking differently than the conventional definition of art. That it's not about removing all imperfections, because if you have many things and they're all the same, and they're all bleached of all their imperfections, how is that perfect? That's sameness. Again, in the sense of manufacturing, that would be perfection. That would mean that that machine and the multiples that are manufactured after the fact aren't going to have any problems because of any kind of inherent flaw. But when it comes to art, what if perfection is that in of its own that can't be reproduced? It can't be remade, it can't be remanufactured. It has a story to tell. Those old Renaissance paintings, those huge tapestry paintings that have sat for so long that the surface they were painted on has allowed the paint to crack. Those little fine little tiny little cracks. What if that's perfection? Painting is one of a kind. However, if we are going to work with the conventional definition of perfection, then perfection should be the last thing the artist hopes to attain. So, I guess in that regard, one should consider perfection to be the enemy. Well, enemy, that's strong wording, but it's certainly not one thing to hope for.